Former President Trump indicted by a grand jury in Washington, D.C. on 4 felony counts related to the 2020 election. Among the charges, conspiracy to defraud the United States. Prosecutors accuse Trump of working to undermine democracy, and the former president is set to make his first court appearance on these new charges this Thursday. Welcome, everyone, to the 4 this afternoon. I'm Alex Savage.
And I'm Christina Rendon. That indictment brought by the special counsel investigating the January 6th riot and efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Let's get right to our political reporter, Greg Lee, who's tracking these developments. Greg.
Christina, Alex, this marks the 3rd criminal indictment against the former president. Today's federal charge is the result of a Justice Department investigation into Mr. Trump's alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election. The indictment filed by special counsel Jack Smith in federal district court in D.C. Smith also led the investigation into Trump's handling of classified documents. In this case, federal prosecutors accuse Trump of being determined to remain in power and peddling conspiracies and lies that the 2020 election was stolen from him. The unrest ultimately leading to the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol. As part of the investigation, prosecutors interviewed elections officials in Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, and other states who came under pressure to change voting results in states President Biden won. Here's a look at the charges listed in the indictment returned by that grand jury. They are conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of and attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, conspiracy against rights. Special counsel Smith spoke a short time ago. Here's what he said.
The attack on our nation's capital on January 6, 2021 was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy. As described in the indictment, it was fueled by lies. Lies by the defendant targeted at obstructing a bedrock function of the U.S. government, the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying the results of the presidential election.
Now, the indictment unsealed today only charges former President Trump, but it refers to 6 co-conspirators. It is unclear when Smith might name them. Mr. Trump has already been indicted in the classified documents case, as well as by a Manhattan grand jury related to falsifying of business records. UC College of the Law professor David Levine believes this indictment is the most severe yet.
That it was not just January 6th, but it's the lead up in terms of trying to subvert democracy in 7 states with the fake electors and the threats to Vice President Pence, that it's all of a piece, but they're all very, very serious. So it is perhaps the most momentous indictment the Justice Department has ever issued in its entire history.
Former President Trump has continued to maintain his innocence and slammed the DOJ. His campaign released a statement saying these un-American witch hunts will fail and President Trump will be reelected to the White House so he can save our country from the abuse, incompetence, and corruption that is running through the veins of our country at levels never seen before. Again, Mr. Trump has been summoned to appear before a judge in Washington, D.C. on Thursday afternoon. All this as he continues to remain the GOP frontrunner for the White House in 2024. Alex, Christina.
Yeah, and Greg, with the first 2 indictments against former President Trump, we saw that he benefited politically from those. Is there any reason to believe that these latest charges, that things will be any different?
Well, and Alex, you said it there. We have precedent for this. In the last 2 indictments, there were campaign emails that were sent. We've already seen a fundraising email sent to his supporters. And in those 2 times previously, we saw huge bumps in his fundraising numbers. So we do not anticipate that this will hurt his standing. In fact, a new poll today released by Siena College before the indictment, obviously, listed him as crushing his other GOP opponents by 3 times, more than 30 points over those opponents, and in a dead heat against President Biden in 2024. So if anything, we anticipate the former president will continue to use this case that is against him for his benefit.
All right, Greg, we'll check in with you in the next hour. Greg, thank you.